The fantasy regular season is almost over. We are in week 14. The Holy Trinity is here again, just like it was last week. Ron Rigney, James Knight, Bob Lung here. We're going to talk about the upcoming end of regular season, week 14. Talk a little bit about playoffs as you're heading towards them, because we know you are, because you've been watching us all season and your consistent teams making the playoffs just like we are. And we're going to talk about that next. All right, week 14, consistency matters. It's what got you here. You're heading towards the playoffs. We know you are. I know I am. I know he is. And I know James is. We're all heading towards the playoffs in some of our favorite leagues or best leagues. Ron gave a little thing.
Yeah, see, that's real quick. I feel guilty here. I don't want to give a disclaimer to these nice people. I don't want to lie to them. I wish I could say I was in more playoffs than I am. So I'm rooting for you guys. I got a couple going, but I'm rooting for you guys especially.
Yeah, you got it a couple, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I always say there's just some important ones to me that I want to be sure that I get in. And I missed one of the Kings Classic, got one, got into playoffs for the FSGA Western Conference. Trying to win that one so I can get into the championship league, touchdown only league. I'm excited because I clinched a playoff spot and my youngest daughter, clinched a playoff spot. So we could be battling. It could be a lung finals, depending on how the seeds come out. If we can both come at the different directions, we're hoping. I don't want to play her in the first round. That would hurt. One of us is going to hurt. But anyway, but gentlemen, good to have you here as we kind of get rolling tonight. We got Bengals, we've got Cowboys, not Bengals, Detroit in the Bengals, right?
Lions,
I get that right?
Cowboys.
I don't remember who was home last week with Dak Prescott. So what do I know? Ron corrected me after I had posted the article. So sometimes I'm not all in too. But big game tonight. Should be a shootout. Hoping for some positive love for all of my players that are playing, yours as well, and everybody out there who's listening. Let's kick it off here with the quarterback position, gentlemen. It has been a rough year for quarterbacks. We all know that. I don't think many people realize it other than us. I'm sure there are. But, we know, everybody's going to look and see who's in the top 10, top 12 in total points and for quarterbacks. But the consistency of these folks this year, just brutally bad. I mean, Josh Allen's first in total points. He's at 67%. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes, second in points, 75%. We've got players like Justin Herbert, 9th, 50%. Bo Nix, 11th, 42%. Jordan Love is 14th after his big week last week, 33%. Is just not. Trevor Lawrence is 58%. He's 12th. And then there's just plus or minus. The only really consistent player that's over 80% and has played more than half the games, because Jaden Daniels is 83%, but he's only played 6 games, is Drake May at 85% consistent, third in total points, only a couple points, about 12 points behind Mr. Allen. But top to bottom, if you invested in guys like Jordan Love or CJ Stroud or Joe Burrow, of course, injured most of the year. That was painful. Kyler Murray, Jared Goff at his usual 50%, and so on and so forth. It's just been a rough year. So, guys, I'm going to ask you, what quarterbacks are you going into the playoffs with, and are you happy about it? So, Ron, we'll start with you with your leagues that you do have some playoff hopes.
So let's see. One of the commonalities I have, even though he's not ultra consistent, is Justin Herbert. I've got the one dynasty. I'm heading into the playoffs, and I got Herbert. I've had to switch up a little bit. Unfortunately, that's a deep dynasty. A lot of guys carry, and it's got big rosters, so I had to kind of scramble for a backup, which I needed a couple weeks ago. I ended up having to snag Kirk Cousins, which actually worked out pretty well because I do have Michael Penix Jr. and he's out, so that ended up working. But I've got I do have Josh Allen in one. It's what's weird is my one league I'm 11-2 cruising in. The other three Yahoo leagues I have for the kids out there, if you get this reference, I'm 6-7 in every league. So if you like that, with that, I got Josh Allen in one. I got Baker Mayfield in one, and then somehow I've got a 6-7 team that's got Tua and Bryce Young as my two quarterbacks. I don't know how that worked. Whatever, but I'm there, so I'm on the doorstep. So it's a mixed bag, but one thing you can see across the board is those guys that are at the top of the consistency. They are not on my team, so I've been able to do it with my running backs. I've been able to do it with my receivers, but yeah, you're exactly right. Quarterback has been an absolute just train wreck for my team. But
I think you bring up an excellent point, Ron. Is it getting to a point where your quarterback doesn't matter if you load up on so much talent? Like if you have a Jonathan Taylor or or one of the top other running backs, Gibbs, Bijan, whatever, Achan, and some really good receivers, is the quarterback just now a second thought? Like, I didn't grab Allen, or I did grab Daniels. Probably shouldn't have. Should have grabbed more of Mayfield, but now Mayfield's starting to fall apart physically. Like I said, thank goodness I drafted Matthew Stafford as my backup in most leagues because that's who's carrying me in those teams that are making the playoffs. But is it getting to a point? And James, I'll let you answer too, and then you can kind of go with your guys. Do we care about quarterbacks anymore? Do we just pick a couple and hope we can stream them together and put, we've talked about, we used to have con streaming was our thing of the past. And I still don't think it's a terrible concept, but if you can just get a couple guys that you can put in good matchups and take it through the season, and that's good enough, and screw taking a quarterback in the first, even 6 rounds. James?
I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head here. We're starting to look at this position kind of like a tight end or like something like that. It's a one start unless you're in the super flex league. You've got 2, and even then, if you get an 8 through 16 guy, he's capable of jumping up to that top 5, top 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you waited in redraft leagues this year, you probably got Drake May somewhere. You picked up Jakobi Brissett. You like you said, you got Matthew Stafford as a backup. You may have reached and grabbed Jackson Dart late. You get these guys, and you're streaming them in the right matchups and playing them. You're outscoring the guy who grabbed Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and wasted that pick. And guess what? Like you said, now I've got a third running back that's better than your first running back. And I've got, all these other things.
Right.
And like you said, the streaming has been, it seems like a viable option because nobody's really running away at this position like we've seen in years past.
Mm-hmm.
Stafford is the closest one because he's on that horrid, terrible, just crazy touchdown pace. He seems to be doing this year what Joe Burrow did last year. And I in all my leagues, I didn't reach anywhere for really quarterbacks. Before the season, I was in on Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, and Drake May. And almost all my leagues, I ended up with them. And if I didn't, I kind of backed it up with Baker Mayfield. And that kind of leads me to my point of a guy that I think moving forward right now, I've been playing Drake May in a lot of leagues. Obviously, he's the most consistent quarterback. Nix has been on and off again. Caleb Williams on and off again, depending on matchups. But going down the stretch here with Baker Mayfield, I'm looking at the fact that Mike Evans is coming back. Godwin just came back. Puka is going to move to wide receiver 3 there. McMillan is coming back as wide receiver 4. Tez Johnson moves to wide receiver 5. Bucky Irving is now back. They've still got Cade Otton. I feel like Baker Mayfield's about to wake up a lot more dangerous every single morning moving forward into my playoffs. And I really like the idea of, I don't know how you guard those guys. When you put all those guys on the field together healthy, I think he's going to put up a lot of points moving forward.
And then you look at a schedule of Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins.
The Panthers is the only team that might be scary there, but they don't have the manpower to guard all those guys.
Yeah. I mean, the one guy is a stud. What's his name?
J.C. Horn. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
he's a stud, but you're right. Okay, so who's going to cover a Puka, Godwin, and
pick your poison, and Mayfield's going to pick you apart with everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. And they all have decent enough offenses to keep it competitive, which makes them throw more. So that's what we want. So, yeah, definitely.
Fighting for a division there. Yeah, absolutely.
Ron, do you agree? Is it we start rethinking the position next year?
Well, it's funny because you're sitting here talking about this, and one of as you guys know, I teach for a living. So one of the things we talk about in education is when you hit that aha moment when everybody just is like, "Oh yeah, I get it." Just kind of had one of those as you were talking, and so I was thinking about a couple years ago in the Kings Classic League that I won. I was doing exactly what you were saying, Bob. I was thinking of my quarterbacks. That was C.J. Stroud's rookie year. C.J. Stroud was the guy that I plucked off of waivers. I started Joe Flacco down the stretch when he had that hot run in Cleveland. I think I had Baker Mayfield in there. I think it was his first or second season in Tampa where he just started to kind of take off a little bit. And it was just kind of mixing and matching. But as you were thinking about that, one of the things I thought about was when James was talking about using those picks on other positions other than the quarterback. Think about Kings Classic leagues, and when you check waivers, Bob, what is the main position that's always available on waivers?
Quarterbacks.
Quarterback. You're not getting running backs. You're not
Yeah.
getting receivers that you feel good about. You might pluck a tight end here and there, touchdown
Randomly.
dependent. But the thing is, I think I just kind of solved my own problem here. And another example of this, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago too, Mauricio Gutierrez, our guy Mauricio. I think he either won or had one of the better teams in the league, and we all kind of laughed at it when we were doing the auction. That dude, I think, spent $2 on his quarterbacks, and he ended up right there at the end, or he might have won that year as well. So
Probably did because he always beats me. So
yeah, so again, it kind of shows you that when you're looking at running backs week 8, week 9, you're not usually going to find them. So if you take those picks and use them on those guys for those deep 3 flex spots in that 14-team league, you can find quarterbacks. So it may not be guys you love, but when you look at it, there's always 5 or 6 guys available, even in that deep of a league, because nobody carries 2 quarterbacks. So
yeah.
I think I just solved. I'm going to win next year. I think I just solved my own problem.
I got to win next. Hold on, give me some time.
You can use that. It's fine. We can both. We're not in the same league, so it's fine.
Yeah, right. We're not in the same league, right?
There it is.
All right. No, I definitely think definitely going to look into that for some off-season type analysis and things for sure. So, all right, let's move into the running back position. We still have perfection, folks, and it is one Devin Achin, 12 for 12, 4th in total points with a team that is absolute garbage on offense. Like, I don't understand why all 11 folks just aren't watching where he goes because nobody else does anything on this team. And yet he still rips off 100 yards in total offense, touchdown here, there, and gets his 12 or 10 plus fantasy points and been doing it. Of course, McCaffrey, 92%, Bijan, 92%, Jonathan Taylor, 83%. He's had a few down moments, mostly because he hasn't scored touchdowns. Gibbs at 83, James Cook at 83, Javonte Williams at 83, definitely the surprise of the year. Josh Jacobs at 82, Kyron Williams 75, Derrick Henry 75, Scatterboo 75, but of course is out. DeAndre Swift, Jalen Warren 73%, and then everybody else is below 70. It is interesting because it feels like Derrick Henry's had an awful year, and he's still in the top 12 in points, and he's still in the top 10 in consistency at 75%, and I feel like it's just been a garbage year. Not garbage like Saquon Barkley's garbage year, which is just killing me, who is at 58% consistent, 14th in total points. But, again, kind of surprising that he is up there. But he actually has ripped off 6 straight clutch games after going 3 of 6 in his first 6 games. So that's the biggest push right there. But, the big names that went in the first round, McCaffrey, Robinson, Gibbs, Taylor, Achin, James Cook was not in the first round, but certainly has proven he should have been, which I know Mr. Knight here hit smiling away as he should be with his James Cook all over the place. So we'll start with you, James. We won't let you brag anymore about James Cook. We get it. You did that, and you did Jonathan Taylor, so good for you folks. I took McCaffrey. I was a McCaffrey guy, so that's worked out okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't be mad on the McCaffrey thing. He's about to set records. He's on pace again for 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving. He's about to tie and match Marshall Faulk and all kind of records.
Yeah, and he's been healthy. He's played every game.
And if he plays, yeah. Wait, what is he, 4th in the NFL in receptions with 860 rushing yards on top of 800 receiving? Yeah, like that's. If you
and like I said, I'm very happy that I did that. Certainly it's, as our good friend would say, ballsy. But you had to. I mean, there were just spots in the first round where I'm like, okay, now who do I take? Well, guess I take McCaffrey here because, what you have to. But, but I won't take him next year because they'll get hurt again because it's every other year kind of thing. But talk about James Cook, but also talk about anybody else that you see that seems to be making a turn in the right direction or the wrong direction as we head into the playoffs here, running back wise, that seems to be picking it up. So, James, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
Anybody not named James Cook?
Super easy, quick plug. James Cook. Yeah, let's go ahead and plug that real quick. All right, that's done. All right, next up, Kyle Monangai, the running back in Chicago. I'm watching him right before our eyes kind of grow up and into this system that Ben Johnson wanted. Ben Johnson had that Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and we're kind of seeing Montgomery's missing that this year. There's something missing there. There's something there that he's clearly missing, and I think there's a lot of the Ben Johnson in that he's missing. We've watched Monangai come on the last several weeks where he's kind of taken on a 1A, 1B role with DeAndre Swift. And I mean, 3 straight games of clutch games for him. He's averaging over 14 points per game over the last 5 weeks. And like I said, he's kind of fallen into that David Montgomery role in Chicago for Ben Johnson, where he's getting goal line carries too.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this team is first in the NFC, the number 1 seed. They're doing all kinds of stuff. They're moving the ball. They're getting at the goal line. He's going to get touches at the goal line. He's going to score. And like I said, he may be that next up for, the touting like we've done for years past of that type of David Montgomery running back. Now, given he's a lower draft capital, so maybe next year he gets replaced, whatnot, something like that. Who knows? But as of right now and down the stretch, I really like him. They're going to have some tough weather games. They're going to be at Green Bay, at home versus Green Bay, at home versus Cleveland, and then week 17, they're at San Francisco. So there could be some weather things there that lend themselves to them just ground and pound, and I think Ben Johnson wants to do that anyway. So I really like him moving forward, and like I said, the last several weeks he's been putting in clutch games, even with Swift back. So, those touches at the goal line are money, absolute gold.
Yeah, definitely. Mr. Rigney, who's your also guy that might be heading in the right direction or wrong direction?
So I'm going to give you 2 here real quick. I'm going to split my time in half here. So first guy I'm going to go with, a guy that kind of tailed off a while ago, and he's a guy that he's not been consistent at all. And, it's kind of like with my Kings Classic auction team, got my guy Jonathan Taylor. Awesome. Had to settle for my RB2, which is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard has had some games, had a big game week 1, has had a few clutch games along the line. But one of the things that is bad about this Titans team is the game script is not going to fit Tony Pollard. They're going to have to throw. Yeah. Tony Pollard is not involved in the pass game. If you look at his receiving stats, he's only had 1 game where he's had above 3 catches. Tajay Spears is that guy. Plus, he got a pretty tough schedule coming up as far as teams that are not as generous to the running backs. Of course, they got the Browns, they got the Niners, they got the Saints, Chiefs, Jags coming up. So it's just not a good-looking schedule for Mr. Pollard. So I have to start him by default. I don't have a better option, but hopefully everybody else does. Guy that's kind of trending in the other direction. Again, the schedule is not too favorable coming up, but when you look at the timeshare, it's Bam Knight in Arizona. He's gotten double the carries of Michael Carter. Of course, he's only got about 10, but the thing with Bam Knight, he's a little more involved in the passing game. If you look at Michael Carter, he's just kind of a guy to come in and spell. Zonovan Knight, he's come in and kind of taken that job over. Plus, he's got a touchdown in 3 straight games. And he has 2 touchdowns on the ground, and one of those is through the air. You don't see Michael Carter catching a lot of passes. So, again, guy that you probably plucked for nothing. Could be available in some leagues at this point. I don't really know. But a guy that's at least going to touch the ball 12 to maybe 15 times, kind of depending on the flow of the game, but a little bit more involved in the passing game than Michael Carter is.
And he's possibly related to James, so we don't know. But we'll move on from there. The guy I'm going to highlight started off first 6 weeks, 2 for 6. Not good at all. And he was not a first round, but he was definitely an RB1 or early RB2. I have him in a couple dynasty leagues, and he was very disappointing. And it's mostly because, they lost Joe Burrow really quickly, and Chase Brown just was nothing. Just like there was points like, do I just trade this guy and give up? And I'm like, no. And then, of course, the superhero Joe Flacco came to town and pulled them out of the thing. And now he's ripped off 6 straight clutch games. And with Burrow back, I would assume they'll continue that because now there's an offense again to keep the ball rolling. So hoping that helps drive my dynasty teams should make the playoffs. But a little bit deeper than that, I've nicknamed in the one league. I've changed my team name to the Canton Bills because I've been to 3 straight championships and lost them all. So, and now this year my team's not as dominant. So, really hoping I can maybe have. Since I was always in first and always running away, but maybe now my team will fight harder through the playoffs and not just die in the championship game every year. We'll see. But let's move on to the wide receiver position. We have no perfects, but we have 3 at 92%. Jackson Smith, Najigba, George Pickens, and Chris Olave at 91%, though he's had his injuries and struggled a little bit at times. Puka Nakua, 91%. CeeDee Lamb, 89. Rashee Rice, 5 for 6, 83% since he's been back. Drake London, 78. Ted McMillan, 77%. Amon Ra, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Zay Flowers at 75% and has played 12 games. So there's a couple others at 75, but they have not been playing many games, so we'll just kind of go from there. We also have one more over 70. Michael Pittman, 13th in total points. You got that right? No, I'm sorry. Nico Collins, 12th in total points, 73% consistent. So that's everybody over 70. Pickens got to be the biggest surprise. Like, I think we all knew he was good. We didn't know how it would work out well in Dallas. Obviously, it has. Now, CeeDee Lamb missed a few games, which helped a little bit. Get some extra bonus points while he was out. But even when he's in, again, 92%, he's only missed one game, and that was actually week 1. And so definitely, love that. I have Olave in a number of leagues. Certainly has been a big help to me. I have JSN in a few leagues as well, kind of doing my Ohio State run. But Ron, who's somebody that is helping you either to the playoffs or hopefully will help you through the playoffs, or somebody you just feel like is heading in the right or wrong direction as we head towards that spot?
So you mentioned him already, and it's a guy that's become more consistent as we've gone along, and that's Zay Flowers. And of course, he's consistent when Lamar Jackson is in there. But again, I talked about schedule with my running backs, and the same thing here. They've got the Steelers coming up twice. They've got the Bengals, and the Patriots haven't been as good against receivers as you think they might be. They're kind of in that mid-level tier as far as fantasy points allowed to the position. But again, Zay Flowers has kind of come on the last couple of weeks. Yeah, 7 catches last week, 6 the week before, 5 the week before that. So he's had at least 5 catches in every game for about the past 5 or 6 weeks. He's only had one game actually where he's had below 5 targets. So again, the targets are there. Lamar Jackson's looking for him. I'd love to see him get in the end zone a little bit more. He's only got the 1 touchdown on the season, I believe, if I'm looking at that right. Thought he had a little more than that. So again, when you look at those receiving numbers, 60 catches for 767 yards, where you got him in drafts, that's probably about what you expected. But again, the touchdowns just haven't been there. So I'm thinking with the Bengals and the Steelers a couple times, you ought to see that touchdown number go up. And then a guy that's kind of trending in the wrong direction, a guy that, again, we had in a couple of different places. Where did he go? I just lost my guy. Oh, no.
I lost him.
I did. I lost him. I've completely derailed my train of thought there. James, I'm going to pass it off to you while I find my guy.
Okay.
No, absolutely perfect. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Multiple leagues, I was almost on the same train of thought as Bob. I think we were sharing the same mind on receivers. The Ohio State guys, I was all over those all summer trying to get those in drafts and doing everything. Another guy that I drafted is one of those kind of fall into the line of he's always underrated. I feel like he's always consistent. He kind of is that Seattle Seahawks type receiver from back in the day. You get Lockett or somebody like that. They're boring. They're not sexy, but they do it. It's Jakobi Meyers. And I drafted him late in a lot of these. I had him in a bunch of dynasties and did stuff. And that whole Raider talk at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh, my God, what's going to happen? Well, he got traded to the Jaguars, as we all know. And not only did he get traded there, it's rejuvenated him, and he's come back. He's averaging 6 targets a game there. He's had 3 straight clutch games. And it's no coincidence that since he's been there, Trevor Lawrence has had back-to-back clutch games as well. All of a sudden, he looks like what Christian Kirk did a couple years ago, where he was that sure-handed receiver that Lawrence trusts and continues to throw the ball to. And we've seen Meyers do this before. His early on production in his career was that he didn't catch touchdowns. Well, guess what? He's had back-to-back games of touchdown catches here with Jacksonville. I don't know if Brian Thomas Jr. is hurt. I don't know if there's something wrong with him. I don't know if he's got the yips. I don't know what it is. Yeah, something going on upstairs, something going crazy with him. Jakobi Meyers has moved into the de facto wide receiver 1 for a team that, again, fighting for the playoffs. They're running through this. They want a top seed. All of a sudden, they look good. Trevor Lawrence looks good. Jakobi Meyers isn't dropping 2 passes a game like the rest of the guys. Travis Hunter is on IR. So he's trending in the right direction for me. He looks like a number 1. His upcoming schedule, he'll get Indy at home, the Jets at home, who they look like they're better than they are, but that fire sale really killed them on defense. Mm-hmm. The only worry I have is week 16 at Denver, which is a huge worry because that team has shut some teams down on wide receivers. But then he comes back and plays Indy in week 17. So it's a pretty good schedule for him. Like I said, wide receiver 1 there in Jacksonville. He's going to get peppered with targets, and he's got sure hands. So I really like him down the stretch. And like I said, 3 straight games of clutch games. He's actually wide receiver 14 overall total points for the last 3 weeks since he's been in Jacksonville. So you got to like that.
Yeah, definitely. Ron, you got your guy now?
Yeah, so it was. I closed my window. I don't know, sausage finger. I guess just too heavy. Jordan Addison. And we talked a little bit. I think earlier today or yesterday. The best stat I read all week was that Max Brosmer, if he would have dropped back and thrown the ball in the dirt every single drop back, he would have had a better quarterback rating than what he produced. I don't have Justin Jefferson. I don't have Jordan Addison anywhere. Very glad I don't, because that is an absolute nightmare going forward. If you have Justin Jefferson, of course, you got to start him. But Jordan Addison, you probably got other options. You're probably going to want to go with those other options. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago, it was 2 years ago, let me think. McCarthy was a rookie last year, not this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, heading into the summer, I traded Justin Jefferson in one of my dynasty leagues for a buttload of picks and stuff. And the whole reason was I knew that their quarterback situation was going to be rookies or youth or some kind of garbage. Then they picked McCarthy, and it made me feel even better.
Oh.
Now last year Sam Darnold filled in and didn't do a bad job, but McCarthy now proves he's not it. This guy had what they called a Nathan Peterman-esque day. In fact, the 3 of us combined scored more fantasy points this past week than Nathan Bronson did. Or not Nathan Bronson.
Max Bronson, yeah.
Max Bronson, yeah.
No, that was
we all
perfect.
had 0 and he had -4, so we were better. Just saying. But yeah, it's a hot mess there. I didn't want to be a part of this, and think if you have Jefferson, you're going into the playoffs. What are you going to? You have no idea, because it's too late for them to go grab somebody. They're going to let JJ play if he could play. If he doesn't have his concussion, so it's just a hot mess. And I guess the guy I was kind of looking at, and I'll just I'll go more on the down thing as well as. I went out and got quite a few shares of Marvin Harrison Jr. I really thought, and then he came out, first game he got a clutch game, then he goes the next 2 doesn't, then he gets 2. And then, the whole Kyler Murray and just hot mess. Now he's hurt or Harrison's hurt. So it's just, I don't know what it is with this kid. If it's just bad luck, bad everything, just hasn't been working out. And yeah, it's just kind of a hot mess there for sure. So, it's hard to believe because he looked so good in college. I never feared this kid was going to be, and maybe if he gets on a real team with a real quarterback, like George Pickens did, maybe he'll get to that point. But I don't know if Arizona is going to be the answer. So, all right, let's move on to the tight end position. Running away with it in basically old Travis Kelce-esque ways. Trey McBride, 223.9 fantasy points. Second place is 62 points behind. Second place. In 12th place, let me find 12th. Where's 12th? Can't find it.
Still Tucker Kraft right there.
Tucker Kraft at 117 points. So he's over 100 points difference. Now, Kraft has missed quite a few games, but he's still 12th. which what does that tell you? But yeah, just McBride is running away with it. Granted, Kittle missed a bunch of games, but other than that, Kelce's second place at 161. He's 62 behind, and yet somehow at 58% consistency, Kelce is still second in total points. That's how bad tight ends are at this point, folks. It's just ugly. McBride's one of those guys where it's like, okay, I'm sure Bowers will go high again, and I'm sure McBride will go probably second round. Is it worth it? It might be. If you're going to wait on your quarterback, if you can get him. But the thing is where do you have to draft him to get him next year? It could be late first. Or remember a couple years ago when Kelce was going like fifth overall? I think it was right after the year he blew everybody out. I'm not saying I'm doing it, but I'm saying somebody might without question. But so I went all in on Kelce. I mean, I've mentioned that from all summer. That's what I was doing. In total points, it looks like I made a great decision, but consistency wise, every week I'm like, Travis, can you just for the sake of just for your girlfriend or somebody, can you score like 20 points for once instead of like 13? Like that's why I'm surprised he's not more consistent because he seems to get like 10 to 13 every week, which is just but somehow he's still only 58%. Now, I've mentioned all year the tight end position has the highest clutch factor of the three non-quarterbacks and still does. It's 10.29 versus wide receivers 10.05. And, wait a minute. Let me look. Oh, nope. Running backs are at 10.30. Finally took him over, but still, either way. And that could be part of the reason why. As I mentioned, multiple times this year, it's Trey McBride and some of these every week. Trey McBride has 20 some points. Then there's always some random dude like Juwan Johnson or Colston Loveland or some random dude that'll have 25 points or Rondé Gadsden for a couple weeks there that just pull that average so high that it's hard for the tight ends to even earn clutch games. But it is what it is, and Ron, we'll go back to you. Is there a quarter? I know that you're a Kittle guy, so I'm assuming Kittle's one of your guys. But is he the guy that's going to get you through? Is he your guy in your dynasty leagues that is making the playoffs? Who do you got a tight end that's pulling you through the drudge?
Yeah, and the two that I'm the highest on, the two dynasties I'm in, it's George Kittle, and actually I have George Kittle and Tyler Warren, so I've got a nice couple of guys
All
there.
right.
And then
That
the other one I ended up going with Tyler Warren, and I think I got a couple of randos as my backup, but that's the two main ones that I have. Kings Classic has been a nightmare for tight end. My Snake League decided to go with Evan Ingram. I think we talked about him as my turkey last week, and nothing's changed with that. Jonnu Smith's had a couple clutch games here and there, but a guy that I think is kind of quietly come on a little bit. He hasn't hit that clutch factor every week, but you've kind of seen the numbers go up a little bit, and that's Sam Laporta. Now he's not on the level he was the rookie season where he set all the records, but last week 5 for 53, week before that 6 for 97 and a touchdown. 2 weeks before that 5 for 55 and a touch, 5 for 92 and a touch. So you've kind of seen the targets come back a little bit. You've kind of seen him get involved a little bit more. I think it took him a few weeks to get back to full strength as far as health. He had that one dud against Tampa where he went 3 for 15 over the last few weeks. And then real quick before we move on, this is the last time I'm going to mention him, but I'm just going to until next season. But I'm just going to tell you right now, I am the captain of the Gunnar Helm Express. So if you guys want to jump on now, I'm telling you to jump on right now. This dude's going to be cheap. They're going to have to throw next year too. Down the stretch, Gunnar Helm, he's seen at least 5-6 targets the last few weeks. Could be a guy that could be there for you. Scoop him up in your dynasty. But next year, he's going to be ultra cheap. And I think we're going to see a nice little consistent season out of Gunnar Helm.
And my thought is it's probably time for Chiggy to go. He's probably at the end of his rookie contract. They're not going to sign him for any big money. Even though, can I please throw out this in just disgust? Why in the holy world did the Baltimore Ravens sign Mark Andrews to a 3-year deal? Isn't he already 78 years old? Why are they? What are they doing? You've got
Him and Travis
Isaiah
Kelce gonna,
Likely.
yeah.
It's not like you don't have a decent backup for the future. If I'm Isaiah Likely, I'm like, can you please trade me because it's worthless for me to be here. But yeah, I couldn't believe that when I saw that, and they gave him what, 40 million?
Yeah, like 39 million. And
39? Yeah, like
he's not
13
quite
mil a year.
78, but I just looked. He is 30 years old. So
Okay. That's still in tight end years. That's
tight
78
end years. Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah,
close.
you got to multiply it times, I think, 3. Yeah, I just, he never finishes a season. I just shook my head. I'm like, because every year I'm like, well, Isaiah Likely, here it is. It's time. Lamar Jackson loves this tight end. But, and if it's okay, we're doing this because we grossly underpaid him in the past and he's done a lot for us, okay, fine. But then again, they gave Cole Kmet $30 million or $40 million last year to beat Chicago and then draft a tight end. So what do we know, right? Anyway, sorry for my rant. I'll go back to James here for his tight end.
No, that's perfect. I mean, you're looking at the Ravens. Maybe they're hoping somebody catches a touchdown because Lamar hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 straight games.
Yeah, talk about another disappointing quarterback.
Yeah, that's been tough to watch and deal with. I mean, they've always kind of been throwing around the goal line, kind of help him out, but not this year. It just hadn't seemed to happen. And another thing I want to touch on before the season, Bob, you and I, and we went through some stuff. All 3 of us, I think, we're talking about some stuff, and I was talking about how the tight end position had fallen down so far and done a lot of things. But just a quick mention on Trey McBride. So Trey McBride, at his point total right now, he would end up being wide receiver 4 overall in points, and he would be running back RB7 overall in points.
Yeah.
So he'd be the 10th best scoring player off the board right now.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, does he go in the first round? I mean,
yeah.
I immediately thought about it when I've been looking at Trey McBride, exactly what I said earlier. He's that guy that if it comes to the second round and people are pulling a Josh Allen or doing something, I'm grabbing Trey McBride instead of that quarterback. And I'm not even looking back and just going because the advantage at the tight end position is so huge. So,
and think about, I'd be interested in put him in to the consistency report, go in there and change the scoring to 1.5 and see where his numbers would fall out for if just at tight end. And then he'd probably be ranked in the top 5 overall.
Overall, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because he's right behind a couple guys right there in those numbers when you look at it on total points. And it's wild. Like I said, we haven't said, I mean, this is the Travis Kelce thing, like you said, where he crept into that first round where you were like, but that's a good receiver, but he scores more points than even that receiver. And then I'm going to get a 40 point advantage at tight end over the course of the season, at least.
Mm-hmm. What he's doing this year different is he's scoring touchdowns. If you remember last year, he was up there first, second total points as well, but he scored 1 touchdown, 0 touchdowns. It was something ridiculous.
I think he's had 4 or 5 touchdowns in his career. So he's already, more touchdowns this season. He's had more touchdowns in the 7 games with Brissett than he has in his entire career. So crazy. So it's crazy. And but touching on another guy in Dynasty in a different places, and I've been on him all year, and he kind of bounces back and forth. And I hate the tight end position. I'm sorry, but I'll just throw that out there. Let's go ahead and say it. If I don't have Trey McBride, and I did get some Tyler Warren here and there, I got a little lucky on that. I grabbed Harold Fannin Jr. everywhere I could. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this year's kind of been a lost year. They've been bouncing around quarterbacks. They've been doing all kinds of stuff and doing things, but he's kind of been at least somewhat consistent. He's not giving me zeros. He's not doing stuff like that. He's also still getting a few carries per game that if, God forbid, their offense ever got close enough and we're going to score and do some stuff, he might actually get something like that. He's also had at least 5 targets in every game since week 5. At least 5 or more targets. And he's topped out at 10 a couple times here and there. So he's getting the ball, and Shadir Sanders is now starting. You're starting to maybe see some rapport with some players. It seems like David Njoku just kind of fell off a cliff in Cleveland. So Harold Fannin Jr. is that guy that I like moving forward this season. They're going to be in some garbage time. They're probably going to throw the ball some. I see him being that tight end that springs free, gets a touchdown here and there when Cleveland actually does score. And I like him. His overall volume just makes him a possible – like you said, that tight end that week that could blow up and pop themselves back in the top 12, he has that kind of potential to be able to do that, I think.
Well, and real quick too, I read last week that David Njoku, I think, got like a season low 25% of the snaps last week. So again, they're seeing what they have. They're kind of phasing him out, and he could be a guy that could even end up going in the offseason too.
I could see that absolutely.
Yeah, that's for sure. In fact, in one of my dynasty leagues, somebody wanted Sam Darnold for the playoffs because it was a 2-quarterback lead, and his second quarterback wasn't very good. And he wanted Darnold and Derrick Henry, which I was fine because I didn't, for the future, I didn't want him. But I told him, I said, the only way this happens is if Harold Fannin Jr. is in the deal. It is a tight end premium. And he was like, nope. And I go, okay, well then I'm done. And so then a couple days later, he's like, okay, here's the deal with Fannin in it. Okay, click, accept.
Now that you understand my demands, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. Like, do you want to win a title or not? Because I would, when you're about to win a title, you just do it. I don't care about the
absolutely.
future. But I was like, nope, I need Fannin. So, anyway. All right. Well, gentlemen, thanks for being a part of the show as always. Folks out there, good luck your final week. Hopefully you don't have to sweat week 14 to get in the playoffs outside of seeding, where your seeds are going to be. Hopefully you've got a first round bye. So you're 1 or 2 in the league. So hopefully they got you there. And we'll be back next week as we start preparing for the playoffs weeks 15, 16, 17. They're upon us. So is the holidays, but it doesn't matter because the only gift we want are championships. And that's what you want too. So for James Knight, Ron Rigney, I'm Bob Lung. Oh, wait a minute. Ron, you got a card?
Real quick, just reached in, grab something real random. Got a good one, Mr. Derek Thomas, little 89. I believe this is 89 Pro set. Yeah, one of the basic ones. He's got a couple rookies that year. If you don't know who this dude is, dude was an absolute beast. Holds a record 7 sacks in a game. Gone way too soon. Gone way before his time. So good one right there, Mr. Derek Thomas.
He only played 6 seasons?
Not very many, but man, he was a menace. Absolutely.
But they put him in this, but he was so good that in only 6 seasons they put him into the Hall of Fame as he should have been. Definitely one of the best out there. And I totally forgot. I was almost going to leave and not talk about all the great things that are happening in Big Guy Fantasy Sports. I don't know why I'm so excited for this show to end. I never should be. So James, I'll let you start. Tell us everybody what you're doing.
Hey guys, you can find me at JKeezy on X. Give me a follow. Let's talk some football. And on the BigGuyFantasySports.com website, the new Week 14 Under the Radar article is already up for this week. Check it out. Tons of great stuff coming out all through the week. New stuff coming out every day. Sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already. And then, like I said, just keep checking out the articles and let me know you saw the video and follow me. I'll follow you back on X.
Yeah, it's perfect. Ron, tell everybody what you're up to.
At Ron Rigney on the X Machine, got the start sit every week. Haven't done too bad the last couple of weeks. Got a couple of those right there. We've been coming at you with consistently cashing. You guys been coming with the prop bets, so we've been giving you those options to build those lineups. Again, come over to BigGuyFantasySports.com. We got Big Game James. We got Mr. Consistency, Mr. Bob Lung. We got the People's Champ, Colby R. Conway, and myself. Come over and check out all that goodness at BigGuyFantasySports.com.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, everybody, check out all of us out. As Ron said, all the great stuff, Big Guy Fantasy Sports. This is the time. You need it. Got to get through the playoffs, got to get to a title. We're here to help you. So follow us on all the Twitter. You can follow me at Bob_Lung. So for James, for Ron, I'm Bob Lung. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next week.